soif. Tu bois sans dire à tout.
What's going on, jerk faces? It's your boy Andy. You're watching Nocturnal Transmissions, brought to you by the Circle of Jerks podcast. It's a conversation you could be having during the day, but having at night. We're back live this week. I hope you guys enjoyed. Huzzah! I hope you guys enjoyed the pre-tape that we prepared for you guys. We couldn't do a live last week because scheduling conflicts thanks to Rob. We're
always my fault.
If we didn't, it's always Rob's fault. But if we didn't do that, we would have been behind on basically everything, and it would just been us talking about movies and TV shows. Which, I mean, come to think of it, it's not that bad.
Not a terrible idea right now.
Not a terrible idea right now, especially with everything going on in the world. It's I definitely use a break. But
yeah, I mean, hell, I can't even talk about my favorite sport right now because I honestly, like, I'm so pissed off with them. Yeah, it's like, you know what? Doing movies and TV seems to be the direction I want to go.
Right, a little escapism. It's always a nice thing. A little distraction to take your worries, off of the world. But luckily, we're still going to be talking about movies and TV shows, but we will. But also some very interesting news. Actually, a rumor that recently has turned up, if true, is monumental. In the cinema landscape. Because this will be the first time. This will be the first time a company will, make efforts to rectify something, to improve a product. I mean, and I think, that's technically, not that big of a thing, because there have been other examples of other companies who have, said, who got some, like, kind of poor reception on a product and, like, made tweaks and, fixed it. But this is, like, literally, they're going back to what is it? They're
Correct
rebooting.
A horrible mistake.
They're wiping the slate clean. And it would be really like if Ford went back to what's that really iconic Mustang? The 60.
So the iconic Mustang is usually like from the the late, like the 69 to early 70s Mustangs, like the
right. What was the one from the Bullet TV show with Steve McQueen?
Yeah, that's usually the one that's always constantly being like remade. It's the it's like the GT. It's I'm trying to think of what model it is. Hold on a second. I'm drawing a blank, which is sad for me because
I know, car guy, way to go.
I know, right? I'm really. I was not expecting to talk about the Bullet Mustang.
Right. Well, I know. I mean, I didn't necessarily think I was going to be bringing it up, but to kind of analogize, the profundity of it all.
All right, let me go ahead. So it's from 1968. It's the the 68 Mustang. It was. I'm trying to think of what the.
Okay, so it's the 68 Mustang essentially.
Yeah.
Right.
But
so what's if this rumor, if true, would be as though Ford going. I mean, well, it might not be. Anyways, I'm going with it. But it would be as if Ford went back to remake the 68.
Yeah, like, and actually going back and building a 68, not just like a retro version of
right,
the 68.
not like a modern aesthetic barring aesthetic elements from the '68 into a modern version, but just like going back, like same materials, going with the chrome and like steel bodies or whatever, just the '68 material and like and '68 like design.
Yeah. And obviously we know the rumor Andy's talking about is that Disney is thinking about rectifying the god awful sequel trilogy that Andy and I have railed on for an endless amount of time. It seems like.
Absolutely. Oh my god!
And
If they can undo Last Jedi, oh, there is a god.
You've had a lot of bad luck recently. I think this is some good luck for you, Andy, if this is true.
Right? I know. Yeah, had a bit of a shocker, recently. It wasn't a pleasant surprise. I was completely taken aback, and I felt utter betrayal. I felt like I was utterly betrayed.
What can I tell you, Andy?
But I'm not gonna get into that right now, because
Nah.
yeah, 'cause I'm a better person. So I'm a better person.
But no, that I think this is amazing news. If this is, I certainly hope to God that this is true, and we might actually see the vision that George Lucas had for these films, like what they were meant to be, because at first glance, as far as like with Force Awakens, they kind of like gave a little bit of insight into that, like that's possibly the direction that they were going.
Right.
And it was just like the Last Jedi like put that to an ass grinding halt.
Right. No. I'm at the time, I enjoyed the Force Awakens. I really did.
Yeah, me too.
I thought I kind of thought that what is it that Force Awakens was kind of like almost like an apology letter. Because the prequels were such I mean, before Last Jedi came along, the prequels were a pretty divisive topic amongst Star Wars fans, and so you know um, maybe not an apology per se, but it was, I think it I thought of it as their kind of reassurance to the fans, like, oh no, we're gonna make Star Wars just as you remembered it. um, and this is our little wink and nod to the fans that that we're gonna make Star Wars, and that that then we're fully capable of making Star Wars. And I'll admit, yeah, when I initially watched Force Awakens, I was like, okay, the pitch worked essentially, and I was on board, and I was looking forward to seeing what Disney and what Disney would be capable of.
Yeah.
And but then Last Jedi came out, and then no, because they also they had, and then they put out Rogue One, which which holds up. Rogue One legitimately
Rogue One. Yeah.
Rogue One legitimately holds up, and so again, I was encouraged. I was like, okay, great. But then Last Jedi came out, and it's just like, kill me now. It's like, take me now, Lord. Take me now.
Well, I remember watching and I've said this before, but when I first watched it, because I went with one of my friends, and I was like, and he asked me, he's like, well, what do you think of it? It's like, and during the whole time, I was like, I'm supposed to be liking this, right? Why am I not liking this? And then I watched it a second time after we talked, and I was like, oh, that's why I didn't like it, because it fucking sucks.
Right. No. I felt exactly the same way as you did. Leaving the theater, I was like, I was supposed to like this, but I'm not. I'm not liking this. And so I went to go watch it again, like pretty much like the next day. And watching it for the second time, I was like, no, for sure, I hate this. I hated it. I still,
Yeah.
I still hate it. I mean, Rob knows there. I mean, when when we were in production for his gaming channel, Up by Up Down, you know, uh, he kind of pushed the wrong buttons, or the right buttons, depending on how you look at things. Uh, from a certain perspective, it could have been good. Um, but yeah, he pushed all the wrong buttons that day, and I shut down production of his show for 30 minutes, railing against Last Jedi. Like Kermit the Frog, arms in the air, flailing, like, oh, this is such bullshit.
Yeah, it was one of the most glorious meltdowns I've ever seen.
I know. Too bad we didn't get any of that on film. That would have been hilarious.
Yeah,
That would have been good, like
it was amazing.
blooper reel material.
Well, it was the same thing with like my I had my Michael Jackson rant from one time. We didn't have it recorded.
That's right. Yeah, because
I honestly I was legit pissed off with you with what you were doing.
Right, because I had heard a different perspective on the whole Michael Jackson case. It was just around the time that Leaving Neverland, the documentary, came. I still haven't seen it. Um, I think
Me either.
I think I should put that on my queue. But yeah, it just come out, and I heard a different perspective on the whole Michael situation, from a diehard Michael fan,
Oh yeah.
and diehard Michael fan, and putting forth this alternative theory about like what's going on, and the kind of convenience of this documentary, and just kind of like uh, the shadiness around the accusers, and Robert just went off like the switch flipped, and he was just like, "You motherfucker!" It's like, yeah. I don't think your rant lasted as long as my rant, but
no, not quite.
It went on for like at least 15 minutes.
It definitely paused our start time for the live stream though, because I was
right.
So
yeah.
mad.
Well, yeah, we were doing a live stream. That's right.
And you're like, and you're just like, I was pushing your buttons, right? Like, I don't actually believe this is like, oh well, thank fucking God for that.
Yeah, although in my case, I don't think I ever got such a clarification from you when you were talking, when you're talking all that mess about Last Jedi being like the best movie ever or whatever.
No. No, I do not believe that The Last Jedi. It may be one of the most disappointing films of all time, I think.
Yeah.
To say the least.
To say the least. Because I could shit on Last Jedi forever. I literally can't. It's just that god awful.
Oh, honestly, we should watch the riff tracks version of it.
The riff tracks?
Yeah, so you know how like the guys who did like Mystery Science Theater 3000, they do a group. They have a group now called Riff Tracks, which it's kind of like a subsidiary of the MST3K group, and they're still making fun of shitty films. Well, The Last Jedi is on their list.
Nice.
So we might have to do that one day.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
And honestly, they do a great job of making fun of. Because I've watched a lot of like some of the shit that they've been making fun of. Birdemic among them, which is
Birdemic. I remember you bringing that up.
And it's so funny. It just that, and the movie is god awful. but
Mhm.
having these guys make fun of it, oh man, it makes it so much better. And yeah, it might actually make Last Jedi good, hearing the jokes.
uh, I hope so. God,
I mean, it can't get much worse.
yeah. I mean, I guess you're right. I mean, because the movie's already out, and
Yeah.
so it's not like there's gonna be like a Snyder cut, of
Oh,
Last
the
Jedi.
Justice League, which God
I
help us
mean,
all.
yeah, that was. Although I'm starting to have a new appreciation for that movie, and I watched the theatrical cut, and I've seen the. Oh no, wait, that's Batman versus Superman.
That see, Batman versus
Oh yeah.
okay.
Okay, Batman vs Superman.
We're gonna
I'm appreciating a little bit more. I saw the ultimate cut, which
yeah.
puts back in the 30 minutes that they cut out, and it does make a difference. It does make a difference. Um,
The only thing
from
that was bad about Batman v Superman is I felt they were doing too many they were trying to do too much in one film. They were trying to hit a 5-run home run. It just doesn't. You
right, right,
can't do
right,
it.
right.
And it's like in different, the different stories and elements of the film were good, but then they
Mhm.
tried to like slam it all together, and it was just a jumbled mess. And it's like they were trying to play catch up to Marvel,
Mhm.
and it's like no, just tell a good story. You could have split this into like 2 or 3 different films, and it would have been much better, much
Right,
better.
and the fans would have come. The fans would have come.
I
You know.
honestly, I would rather support DC than Marvel. I think the characters are better. I'm
Okay.
just putting that out there, but yeah,
Yeah, I mean, to each their own.
yeah.
I
The
don't know. I still but that's the dark kind of grittiness of like the Snyder vision. I'm not just not sure of.
they
Especially
needed
for
they needed
Superman. Superman cannot be that dark. It cannot be
no
that brooding or contemplative.
Batman. I would have
Because
been okay with it being like that. I mean, we've
right,
had a lot of dark Batman films,
right, exactly.
but yeah, having Superman is supposed to be hopeful and
Yeah, he's the counterbalance. He's the hope to Batman's fear and vengeance.
yeah.
And
Um,
he's supposed to be the counterpoint. Superman's supposed to be the counterpoint to Batman.
yeah, which is why they're kind of juxtaposed of one another.
Mhm.
Okay, well, so if they're going to be doing a reboot of the sequel trilogy, like what would you want to see in these films?
I mean, I know it's not going to happen because of Carrie Fisher, but it would have been nice to see the original trilogy back, one last time.
Right.
Um, but I would definitely want natural, a more natural progression from Last Jedi. Because it was
Right.
such a
Right.
jarring. It was so jarring to go from rebel victory to pretty much new empires in charge again.
Yeah, and obviously it's like some you know many years later,
Mm-hmm.
but still, yeah, you're right. It's kind of like what happened. Like that was supposed to be the resounding victory, and at the time I was like, I kind of understand that because yeah, the rebels did knock a big blow into this into the empire, but that doesn't mean that the empire just dissolved.
Yeah,
There was
exactly.
still like, I mean, the empire was massive.
Right. There were still generals and admirals and officials and governors who might have scrambled to fill in the power vacuum. I mean,
Right.
not unlike when Alexander the Great died. like his three top generals, got together and said, all right, we're splitting up the empire, and
Right, and
something similar could have happened to that, where and like the New Republic could be a thing, but maybe it's not on
yeah,
Coruscant. Which that was what they did with that. What they did try to do that for Force Awakens, where uh, the new capital planet for the New Republic was not on Coruscant, it was somewhere else. So they could have set up the new capital for the New Republic somewhere else, and then elements of the old Empire could still be around, and the New Republic could be dealing with them. Um,
yeah. I mean, that would be. I mean, I would like to have seen. Um, some yeah, kind of like maybe like like where that the events of the Last Jedi really like got the rebels going and it gave them momentum to kind of at least take a huge chunk out of the Empire, and kind of, even if like not restoring everything to back the way it was, at least it would give some sort of semblance of starting to restore it, and not only restoring what was as far as the in the political climate, but kind of like hopefully starting to restore some of the Jedi Order, because there's still force sensitive characters in that universe.
mm-hmm.
They weren't all completely killed.
Right. I mean, this, in a weird way, this is kind of like a beautiful gift because for so long, it was just like how I would retool or make better what we were given. And
Right.
now it's opened up, and now it's like we could legitimately start over. Um, and that's
Yeah,
very
and
exciting, and that's
it's
and I would definitely take this opportunity to bring back in some of the extended universe stuff, the legends.
yeah, absolutely.
And I
It
know
doesn't
like
have to
they
be.
were like doing that little by little, like with the TV shows like Rebels. They brought in like Admiral Thrawn, who was supposed to be
Hmm.
from like the post. Uh, was it the post Empire?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's like during like Shadows of the Empire. I think like just after Jedi. Uh, but they brought him back for Rebels, which is a prequel, which
right.
again not that bad, and I don't mind the depiction of Admiral Thrawn in Rebels, because I think they're. I mean, I'm not a huge like consumer of Legends material, but just from
Right,
what I've
right.
heard from other people, this version, the Rebel version of Thrawn is pretty good. It's mostly accurate to
Yeah,
what
yeah.
was depicted in the legend material. So.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think this could be something very exciting because yeah, it's not going to be the story that we expect it to be, but
mhm.
it's like I said, complete brand new, open. We can add in some of the you know some of the stuff, some of the side stories. We could definitely we can do anything with it, which would be great,
Mhm. I would definitely, I would
and we can
definitely
make it
bring
work.
in Mara Jade.
Yeah.
For those of you not in the know, Mara Jade is Luke Skywalker's wife, and kind of like
Yep.
and kind of like co like headmaster of the new Jedi Order. She used to be a dark side acolyte of Emperor Palpatine. And she was basically an assassin. Kind of like I mean, if you're hip to Star
Yeah. Yeah.
Wars and like all the extended, beyond the movies like the Rebels and the Clone Wars TV show, she was sort of like an Asajj Ventress, but kind of
Right.
more
Yeah.
more precise. And so yeah, they should totally bring her back. Um, they should bring back the solo children. If not all three of them, then at least two of them. And I think they,
Right.
kind of in the way that George Lucas thinks,
It had
about.
intended.
Right, but in an interesting way, if they only went with like two of the children, they could do like this kind of kind of a rhyming thing that George talked about when he was making the prequels. How kind of history isn't always the same, but it rhymes like poetry. What they could do is Han and Leia could have twins themselves, because Luke and Leia were twins, and
Right.
so it's like it's in their family, like it is possible, because there's like the thing about like how if your parents have twin, or if your mother has twins, then it's more likely that, especially if you're a daughter, that you will have twins yourselves.
Cycle will keep going.
Right, exactly. So like then you can have like like the two children, and like you can make both of them Jedi, or one of them, or if you make both of them Jedi, then you can do like this kind of uh, light side version of the oh no, not rule of two, but you can create this you can create a divide between the two Jedi students, like where one can potentially go to the dark side, or be tempted, at least, or
Yeah.
at the very least tempted by the dark side. And so yeah, lots of possibilities.
Well, I hope that this happens. I would be very excited to see this.
Right, yeah, and especially with with John Favreau and what's his face, Dave Filoni. Yeah,
Yeah, doing
yeah,
what we saw with the Mandalorian, man.
right. With those two, like I'm very confident. Especially like
Yeah.
Dave Filoni proved himself with Clone Wars and Rebels. Um, John Favreau, he's kind of the go-to guy to jumpstart a franchise. I mean, he did,
Yes,
he
sir.
kicked off, yeah, he did Iron Man. He kicked off the entire MCU. Like
Yeah.
with like the formula that he came up with, like that's kind of like the secret sauce that's in all Marvel movies. I mean, whether you love it or not, you got to respect the fact that this man's like vision, or this man's prescription is now kind of the template for all other Marvel movies.
That's right.
And so yeah, and then he's done groundbreaking work with like doing the live action Jungle Book, or the live action Lion King, even though it's not live action, it's all CG, but whatever. But yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, John Favreau has definitely proved himself. So, and Dave Filoni double has proved himself in those. I mean, he's literally student of the master, George Lucas. And even on Mandalorian, they brought in George Lucas a lot to consult. So
This is hearing this is good news. I
yeah,
like
seriously.
this news. I needed this news.
Yeah, I think I mean, if like again, this is just a rumor. But it's it's come from like pretty reliable sources. I first heard it from watching this Tyrone Magnus video doing a reaction
Hmm.
to the news, and then I saw the original video from Doomcock, and his because he is like you know grand master of Star Wars. He a lot. He has sources, and a lot of them have panned out. Like a lot of like his sources for information about Star Wars and things like that going on behind the scenes. It has panned out.
Right.
So a lot of his information is good. Yeah. So really
Well,
hoping that it's true.
we'll keep our ears to the ground, and I think it'll be yeah. I'm looking forward to hearing some good more good news on this.
Absolutely. Yeah, man, this is literally the best news ever.
It
It's
really is.
because now it's just now we don't have to fantasy. We don't have to imagine or fantasize about how we'd make the sequel trilogy better. But now it's we have this new, rich, fertile ground that we could cultivate and really kind of not exactly, but essentially, add a whole cloth, just make this new, sequel trilogy.
Yeah.
We'll at least
Like I said,
speculate, because I'll leave it. I'll leave it to the new trinity of Star Wars, which is Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau, and it's George Lucas.
it'll be nice to know. It'll be nice to have the prequel trilogy being the lesser trilogy.
Yeah, but it's. I guess if this new sequel trilogy comes out, then just based on comparison, it would be the lesser. Although I think now the prequels have proved themselves. They've stood the test of time. They're at the very least Star Wars. They really are.
Oh, very much so. Yeah.
Which is miles better than what we got in the sequel trilogy. So.
Definitely.
Yeah, so I think the era of dumping on the prequels is officially over.
It's over. Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah, so upset. Yeah, I really hope this rumor is true.
Oh man, my heart feels good right now.
I know, right? My heart, my my burdens don't seem as heavy. All right.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah. Now that we're in a really
What's
good
next
place. What was that?
Yeah. What's next on the docket for us? Since we got some good news.
Yeah. All right. Let's do a sandwich. Let's do a movie. Let's do a movie review, and then Last Dance, and then end it.
I like this idea. Let's do it.
Yes. All right, and we'll pick up where we had left off with
Blood Simple.
Blood Simple. That's right.
From 1984, it was the first. It was the directorial debut of the Coen brothers.
That's correct, sir. So we'll give you all the quick synopsis here. Blood Simple was the first Blood Simple was the first feature film from Joel and Ethan Coen. This is the newly oh, that's right. I think there isn't just a straight synopsis, but anyways, this is the newly restored and re-edited director's cut of the film, introduced by Mortimer Young. The stylish crime thriller premiered at the film festivals in 1984. Blood Simple begins deep in the heart of Texas, where a jealous saloon owner hires a cheap divorce detective to kill the saloon owner's younger wife and her bartender lover. There's a little bit more, but it abruptly ends. I don't know, for some reason. I don't know why.
So essentially, what the film is about is you have these two characters. It was Ray and Abby. Abby is the wife of this sleazy saloon owner named Marty, and Marty is hired. Yeah, like I said, hires this kind of private detective who is there to spy, kind of get dirt on what's going on, and um, it kind of turns into this thing where he's just Marty becomes so incensed with their relationship that he ends up hiring the detective again to murder them, and from there it's just kind of the whole thing is just all hell breaks loose, and it's it's definitely a Coen Brothers film. I'll give it that. But it is weird. It's such a weird film.
Yeah, it has really weird beats. Um, where kind of tries to inject some sort of uh, style to it. Like you have like the black bartender who inexplicably hops over the bar and he's like being tracked as he's like walking over to the jukebox to play a song, and he kind of does like a quick little step, and then he's back at the bar like charming the pants off one of the patrons.
Yeah.
So really kind of odd beats, but you definitely see kind of like the proto Coen brother feel and aesthetic. I mean, even some of the kind of like the character archetypes that they use, like the divorced attorney who's like kind of like a cowboy. I mean, you see that in No Country for Old Men, and
Yeah.
and I think in Fargo as well.
Yeah, there was a lot of Fargo elements because Fargo is my favorite film of theirs.
Right.
I personally think that's the best Coen Brothers film, but that's just my opinion.
You're
But yeah,
welcome
you
to
see,
it.
you definitely see a lot of the elements from their other films that and you kind of see where it originates from, and it's because a lot of their films have this very dark atmosphere, kind of this this weird humor. There's laughter, but it's not really funny. It's kind of like it's more like fucked up humor, and it's very gritty.
Right. Yeah, I think they try to do, because the Coen brothers are known for like their characters, and
Mm.
particularly they're particularly known for their side characters. I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, like Jesus in Big Lebowski, or Javier Bardem's character in No Country for Old Men. Uh, yeah, so you kind of these are kind of like the styles or kind of what I guess what I'm trying to say is this, like they're definitely trying to figure out what they want to do, or like how they want to do things, because the Coen brothers are like either they're either known for like their offbeat kind of comedy, or they're kind of moody and gritty thriller stuff.
Yeah,
But I
and now
think
I
but I
definitely.
think what they're trying to do in this movie, Blood Simple, was perfected in Fargo.
Oh yeah, easily. I mean, like the opening driving scene is definitely something you see that it reminded me of a scene from Fargo. The idea of um, yeah, a lot of like the secret, backstabbing, kind of like behind the scenes stuff going on between characters, and kind of this murder for hire plot, very Fargo esque.
Um, I didn't know this, but Frances McDermott, who's the female lead in this movie, is also married to was it was it
One of the
Joel or
brothers,
Ethan?
right?
Yeah, one of the brothers, Joel or Ethan.
Yeah,
Which now makes sense, like why she's always in like Coen Brothers stuff.
yeah. It's kind of like what's her face always in what's the director's name? The uh, there's another like famous director like that does like a lot of comedies and has his wife always in his films too.
Oh, Ben Stiller, his wife Christine Taylor.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's right. Yeah,
Yeah, because she's she's in a lot of the movies. I mean, most prominently she was in Zoolander as a reporter.
Right, right. Yep.
Uh,
And Judd Apatow has his wife in his films, a lot of his films too.
right, Leslie Mann. That's right.
Well, what were there any like? What did you like about the film, if anything?
I mean, if anything, I think I enjoyed the characters the most. In terms of the
I
story,
definitely. I mean, yeah.
I just, a lot of times I was, kind of finding myself drifting in and out of like paying attention to the story. Um,
Right.
it just didn't hold my attention that much. Not to say that it was a bad story, but it's I don't know. It wasn't visually it wasn't that compelling for me.
I'm glad you pointed it out because it definitely it was not a movie that necessarily like grabbed me.
Hmm.
Um, it's not a bad movie, but I mean for me, I guess I did kind of like the sleazy private detective,
Hmm.
um, and yeah, I think that'd probably be my favorite character.
Hmm.
Yeah, he's the bad guy, but to me, like the protagonists, Ray and Abby, Ray felt very blah to me.
Yeah,
The guy,
he was two
he,
dimensional. He was two dimensional for sure.
yeah, and you got a little bit of depth, like when he suspected that Abby killed her husband,
Hmm.
and he was because he cared about her so much, like he was willing to cover it up for her.
Hmm.
You started to see a little bit of his range as like as a person,
Hmm.
um, but other than that, it's like it's just kind of like you talk about like this stoic guy,
Hmm.
but it's not like I feel like it's kind of like when real life when a movie shows something that's like very realistic, it's like yeah, it's realistic, but it doesn't really show. That's not really what makes a good movie. And I think that was what was happening here is they made his character kind of like this realistic, stoic guy, but it didn't make it compelling enough for us to care as an audience.
Right. Yeah, because it's one thing to show us something that's mundane, but you have to somewhat subvert it. And I think that's kind of like in Fargo. I think Fargo, again, Fargo does this a lot better, where, um, you know, uh, it's just like something with a snowblower, but just like some guy like kind of like clearing out something, but then you get all of a sudden he gets thrown into it. Or am I thinking of the right movie?
Um,
It's been so long, but it's just kind of like you show someone in like their life, but then you have to disrupt it, you know.
yeah,
And I mean, not to say that a murder is not disrupting, but there you don't really get a sense of who Ray is. All you know is that he's kind of like he's supposed to be like the boy toy for Abby, and then he's supposed to be this likable guy, but then he goes and has the affair with the boss's wife.
right.
But just like okay, there's no sense of like of him having agency in like the events that are happening. It's just like all this stuff is like happening to him, and not like
Yeah,
him directly taking a part or making or choosing for things to happen.
right. And it's weird because in this film, like I feel like I was rooting more for like, or I was more compelled by the antagonist than the people that were supposed to be kind of like looking towards like to be rooting for.
Right. Yeah, because at times I was just like, oh shit, when the detective kills was it Morty?
Yeah, Marty. Yeah.
Marty. When he kills Marty, and it's like, oh crap, okay, and then you see it, he leaves his signature Zippo lighter underneath the fish. It's like, oh wow, he can get caught,
Yeah.
and it's like fine. It's like, oh what, then you kind of get, then it's like you kind of get excited. But when
and it's like, and then
but when it's implicated that but when he like tries to implicate Abby, it's just like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, it was kind of like, just a very like I said, that whole story of like kind of the backstab between the two antagonists, and it was intriguing for a second. It's like, and it kind of, it didn't have that punch. It didn't have the punch to it. Like it was a good first film, good try.
Mm-hmm.
You see where these guys went, and used some of the good things that they did in later films. But other than that, because to me, Fargo is like a super memorable film. No Country for Old Men is pretty memorable. Um, The Big Lebowski is memorable. This movie, honestly, I'm probably not going to remember too much about it.
Right. Same here. Anything else you
I
want to
don't
add?
really have, I don't really have anything else to add. Okay, like I said, just kind of a mediocre film.
Yeah. I mean, at least we know that they go on to a bigger career.
Yeah.
And as and as I think we've been saying this entire time, like they're because we know that they go on to bigger and better things. We see all the little elements that they take and put it into the other films. Um,
Yeah, definitely.
so yeah, this is literally the proto Coen brother film, which spawned if you want to think kind of like the way they call the Quentin Tarantino universe, like he's like all of the movie, because he's only made like what 9 movies.
Something
Tarantino.
like that. Yeah, it's not very
Yeah, it's
many.
like so like he's only made 9 movies, and so like they all are part of like the same universe or exist as part of one universe.
Right.
So so it might be argued that since you know Blood Simple could have been like the Big Bang for the Coen Brother universe.
Yeah, definitely. I would agree. I would agree with that. Well, should we give our ratings for the movie?
Yeah, let's do it. I'll go first. I'm gonna give this 2. It was
Yeah, you
still,
know
I
what?
mean, it was enjoyable, but just, it just wasn't like unless you're like a really die hard Coen Brothers fan, and you have to watch this to make it part of your head canon, or just so you can say that you did watch like their very first directorial debut. And yeah,
Yeah.
but as a casual like cinema goer or movie watcher, I would say this is I wouldn't say this was must watch material.
Yeah, I think 2 is fair. For me, it's just like some of the characters were not super compelling.
Mm-hmm.
The just it just fell a little flat. But yeah, like I said, if you're a diehard Coen Brothers fan, I would say go watch this film. If you're just out of curiosity, you want to see like what this movie's about, go for it. But yeah, just not bad, but not really good either. Lukewarm.
All right, well, that's our review of Blood Simple, the directorial debut of the Coen brothers. Both Robert and I gave this a 2. Again, if you are a Coen brothers super fan, then yes, watch this movie. But if you are just casual movie watcher, I would say skip this one.
Agreed. Oh man. Oh, all right. There we go. Let's do this thing.
All right, cool. All right, now that we got one movie review out of the way, let's get into our review for the docu-series The Last Dance, which of course highlights the last season, but really like pretty much the entire career of Michael Jordan. But really it's supposed to be about like the last season that Michael Jordan plays for the Bulls under Phil Jackson.
Right.
And this week we will be reviewing episode 4. It kind of picks up where it left off last episode with Dennis Rodman and him, just kind of fucking off from the team. And he really did, because he was given like 48 hours or something, but he ended up being gone for like 5 days or something.
Yeah, he was gone for like a week.
Right. Right, and then but then it like quickly transitions into talking more about like Phil Jackson and his role. First kind of gives backstory to like where he's from. His when he first started playing basketball, and then his eventual draft to the Knicks, and then on and on and on, all the way up to becoming head coach of the Bulls.
Yeah, and Phil Jackson is one of those. He is such a interesting figure. I obviously he ended up coaching the Lakers too, which thank God he did, because
seriously,
that's how he won championships for the Lakers. I think he's probably one of the greatest basketball coaches of all time. And but learning more about who he is, I felt like we learned a lot more about who he is, and like why he is kind of because he's kind of a kooky character. He's into the whole like the Zen Buddhism stuff. He's into like this weird Native American shamanism or whatever. And he's
even though he grew up the son of a preacher man.
Yeah, diehard preachers.
Right, Bible thumping. Rapture's coming. Better get straight with Jesus kind of preacher.
Yeah, and he's kind of like he doesn't look like because he's very very calm, but he's a very rebellious guy. And
he was fiery, dude. Whenever a call didn't go his way, he was up on his feet. Especially when they when they showed footage from when he was coaching that. I forget what league it was. It was definitely not in this country. Was it in Mexico?
Puerto Rico.
Oh, Puerto Rico.
It was in Puerto Rico. Yeah.
That's right. He was out getting in the faces of officials and.
Yeah, it's this is fucking ridiculous.
Right. I mean, he was almost like a Bobby Knight.
Yeah. There's another coach to talk about at some point, but
right.
But just learning about his background, his time with the Knicks, and how he developed his philosophy for basketball. And Tex Winter, who is the creator of the triangle offense, which is what Phil Jackson is known for. People think that it was Phil that created this thing, but it was this guy that he sat under and listened to, named Tex Winter. And yeah, it's just, and he essentially perfected the triangle, through listening to him, and um, he kind of, because before Phil Jackson took over as the coach of the Bulls, the Bulls were very good. They were contenders, but they um uh which one? Sorry, I lost my train
Yeah,
of thought.
they were
No,
they were
you know,
contenders, but they
they were
weren't a
contenders,
champion
but
team.
he turned them into champions because it took all the pressure off of Michael Jordan, and it utilized the whole team to
Right,
help them.
because the last coach, his name escapes me. Doug something.
Uh,
But anyways, yeah, the last coach, he put like all the defense and the offense around Michael Jordan. It's like, it's kind of like that episode. I mean, I don't know if there are any younger viewers, but they'll probably not get this reference, but they'll understand. Um, the episode of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air where Will joins the basketball team, and the coach's plan is just like pass it to Will.
Pass it to Will.
Yeah, pass it to Will. So it's like so whenever like you get the ball, it's like pass it to Will. So it's like this the previous coach before Phil Jackson, his whole strategy was just pass it to Michael. Pass it to Michael. It's like, what do you do when you get the ball? Pass it to Michael.
Yeah. But because they were utilizing the triangle, and it got Scottie Pippen more involved, it got Dennis Rodman involved, it got all these other role players.
Right, it got the center. Blanking on the names, but Steve Kerr and all those guys. Yeah, they the entire team got activated, and it wasn't just on Michael to score the points.
Yeah, and I know Michael did not like that initially. He thought it was stupid.
Right. Yeah. He was very resistant to that.
But because he bought in and he decided to do it, it's like, oh, now I see. Now we became a champion, and because that was what helped. Because before that, it was the Pistons. They couldn't get past the Pistons, and it was through utilizing, and because of the Jordan rules, they would just beat the shit out of Michael Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
And when they started to implement the triangle offense, the Jordan rules didn't work anymore because it wasn't just
the ball was
Michael.
being spread out amongst the team, and so they no longer so the Pistons get to spread out their resources. The players then have to spread themselves out, and so it's not 5 against 1 anymore.
Right, exactly.
Brilliance on Phil Jackson for utilizing the triangle offense.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm really enjoying this series. Like I said, this is my favorite era of basketball. I mean, I fucking hated the Bulls because they're too damn good, and this is right around the time. Well, because the first championship the Bulls won was against the Lakers, and that was kind of the end of the Showtime. That was the end of the Showtime.
Yeah, Lakers. That was the end of the Showtime Lakers.
Yeah. And from that point on, the Lakers were kind of not really all that good up until the time of Kobe and Shaq. But I love this era. This era is such a good era.
Oh yeah, couldn't agree with you more. Yeah, it's like just watching all the archival footage from the games and the broadcasters. Just brought me back to that time and my childhood. And it's just man, this is when sports was so exciting. It's just the players could just be themselves, just be players and be athletes and strive to be the best ball player, ball handler, point guard, center, whatever, just they're allowed that space to just be the best
who they
what
are.
They did, who they are, and what they did. It was, it's just, I really miss that.
But
I mean, nowadays, every athlete has to have like a political position, and they have to have like some sort of they have to have a position on everything. You know,
I'm
even
sorry, it's
on
not
like
a good
even on like
ally.
the most mundane of things, like what type of jelly do you put in your PB and J, or
Yeah,
have
exactly.
do you have it with or without crust? It's just like but
But
back then it's just
no,
like they were just ball players. They're just ball players. That's all they had to focus on. That's all it ever was, and they were allowed to flourish, and and there was like spectacle and entertainment, and it was like such a relief, just watching those highlights. It was just like it made me feel like I was watching the games, and it's like, oh man, just like this, you know, forget my troubles about the world and about Corona and about politics and all that kind of stuff. It's just
definitely. It just made me. I respect Phil Jackson even more now. Like I said, crazy guy, but like honestly,
right,
he's
yeah,
probably my
no, it
favorite.
just
He's my favorite coach.
yeah, and it's crazy that he was the one that to rein in Dennis Rodman because he was in his when he played ball he was Dennis Rodman. He
Yeah,
was
yeah,
that
he
he was
was.
that wild and kind of goofy guy. And
Yeah,
so yeah, it was no wonder that Phil Jackson was the only one who could rein him in and make him put in work.
yeah. It was kind of cool seeing all those like the time in the '70s where Phil Jackson played, and seeing some of his old highlights, and uh, yeah, just
Yeah, he was an impressive player himself. You know.
yeah, he was.
I mean,
This is
and
the last time the Knicks
he
were.
wasn't. I mean, he wasn't as big of a name as some of his contemporaries, but just seeing
Yeah,
like the highlights within this documentary, just like kind of like the moves that he made, it's just like, man, he was so fearless. He's just kind of
last time.
he put his all of himself into into getting shots or getting the ball, getting that and one and whatever.
Yeah, the last guy to make the Knicks a champion.
Oh man, it's
Fucking hate the Knicks.
I know, poor Knicks.
They
Maybe
honestly,
someday. Maybe someday. Maybe someday.
God, they are the Mets of the basketball league of the NBA.
Yeah, it's I know because it's true. What do you think of?
I've never seen a franchise shoot themselves more in the foot. Like I said with the Knicks, I've never seen a franchise shoot themselves more in the foot than they have.
Yeah, bad trades, bad deals. They just can't seem to catch a break.
No. What were you mentioning, Andy?
Oh, I was gonna talk about, or I wanted to mention that Eastern Conference final where they finally beat the Pistons.
Oh yeah, that the infamous just the walk off.
Yeah, the walk off.
Yeah. Okay. So I I really liked the Bad Boys back then, and
Right.
honestly, it was like I was like, yeah, fuck the Bulls. Like I was all for it. Like,
Mhm.
but looking back on it, it's like, yeah, they're being a bunch of fucking dicks, dude. Like that. But honestly, I like that. If you're a rival, fuck those guys. I'm not gonna be friendly with them. Screw that. Screw all that sportsmanship stuff and like being friendly. Like rivals like that should fucking hate each other, and they did. To this day, Michael cannot stand Isaiah Thomas. And how long ago was this? Almost 30 years ago, and
Right.
he's still
Yeah.
pissed off about it.
Yeah. When the producer was wanted to show him Isaiah's interview for the series, he's like, I don't even see that. I don't even see that shit. And
Yeah,
you
it's
know,
like
but
no,
it was
there's
crazy
not.
because he called everything that Isaiah, you know, that he called Jordan called out everything that Isaiah Thomas was going to say. He's like, oh, in retrospect, you know, I think you know we should have just shaken their hands and you know, like no if like knowing the if knowing like the fan backlash, then yeah, we definitely have shaken hands. It's like no fucking duh.
Yeah, and then, but then it's like the thing that Jordan said that I thought was hilarious was it's like there's nothing that you can show me that's not gonna make me think that Isaiah Thomas is anything less than a giant asshole.
Yeah. That's right.
But I love that. That's the thing. I love that. It's like you're not supposed to like these guys. Fuck them. You know, it's like they're not supposed to be friendly.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, I bet Jordan would have respected him more if, like, you know, he said, like, yeah, no, I fucking hate that guy. Or, I mean, Isaiah Thomas, you know, if
Yeah,
in the interviews, they're like, yeah, fuck those guys. I didn't want to shake their hands because I didn't want to fucking shake their hands. Because
yeah.
it's, like, you know, because it was
That's
fucking bullshit
honestly,
and we should have won. You know, and I bet Michael would have you know, I think in that one moment, Michael Jordan would have had at least a modicum of respect for Isaiah Thomas.
yeah. But yeah, I'll be honest. Like as good as much as I like Isaiah Thomas, I think he's a great player.
Mm-hmm.
He is a little bit. I could see him being kind of like this two-faced jackass.
A little bit of a gamma.
Yeah,
No, I saw it too. It was like, especially when he was like, "Oh yeah, you know, in hindsight, knowing the reaction from the fans would have been bad." Like, yeah, I would have shaken hands. Like, fucking gamma male.
yeah. But I'm going. You know, it's just. I just love how like 30 years later, to this day, they still hate it. You can feel the hatred.
Yeah,
Oh
I mean, yeah, it's like, yeah, Michael Jordan's like, he's like, there's nothing you can show me. Yeah, like that quote. It's like, yeah, nothing you can show me will make me not think that Isaiah Thomas is not a fucking asshole.
oh, such
uh,
a. I love it. I love it. I love
I
this
know. It's just
documentary
like,
series. This is great.
yeah, it's like even the rivalries back then were more meaningful. Now it's just like, oh, you talking trash on Twitter? Like, fuck you, man. You know.
Mm. But yeah, no, it's just I just because a lot of people like would say, "Oh, are these sports rivalries? Are they even like really real? Do these guys like even like really hate each other?" These guys did.
Right, because I think the impression is that people think it's like wrestling, where it's just like, oh, they're just putting it on for like the cameras or whatever. Like, no, they fucking hated each other.
Yeah, yeah, they really do not like each other.
Yeah, I mean, I bet. Yeah, I bet Michael Jordan wouldn't spit on Isaiah Thomas if he was on fire. To this day.
Nah.
Yeah, no way, no way in hell.
All right, that was a good trip down memory lane.
Yeah, seriously, yeah. This docuseries has been so great. It's been so.
I think because I think when we get to the Dream Team too, I think we'll share more about like the kind of the Isaiah Thomas Jordan feud because that's
Right.
gonna be very interesting.
Mm-hmm. Right, because yeah, they played together. It's like
Yeah.
in the Olympics, and so. Oh no, they didn't. No, they didn't.
No, they didn't.
No,
That
but
was
yeah,
that.
Jordan specifically demanded that Isaiah Thomas not be selected for the team.
Oh, you're gonna be in for a fun surprise. Let me just say
Yeah, I mean,
this is
yeah, that's right.
there's gonna be some interesting stuff that's said that I think you'll enjoy. I can't wait to talk about it.
Yeah, me neither. All right. Well, that's our review for The Last Dance episode 4. Me and Robert are both really enjoying ourselves. You know, and and I definitely see more great things coming down the pipes, and not to, I'm calling the shot now, and I think this will be reviewed very rated very highly from both of us at
Oh
the end
yeah.
of it.
Oh yeah.
So kind of a little bit of a coming attractions and spoiler alert all in one.
All right, well, let's wrap this bitch up.
All right. Yeah, that's usually my line, sir.
I feel like stealing something from you today.
Betrayer. We have fun here. We have fun. All right, let's get into the last movie review for tonight, and that is the directorial debut of one Christopher Nolan, and that movie is titled Following.
Yeah.
I always get confused, like, with is it The Following or is it just Following? But it's Following.
This is
Quick synopsis. A young writer living in London follows people in the hopes of using their lives in his novels, but the hobby becomes an obsession, and he soon finds himself going further than intended. Wow, the budget though. No, seriously, yeah, like it was a shoestring for sure. $6,000 US.
holy
And then,
shit.
but it made more. It made 4 times its money back.
Damn.
Yeah, is that right? 4 times? Oh no, my bad. 40 times.
Oh
40 times
man,
its money back.
God damn.
Yeah, box office was $240,495 US.
Not a bad
Yeah,
payday.
so it made 40 times its money back. Essentially. Wait, is that right? Is my math right on that?
We'll just chalk it up to it being Andy math, and if it's right, it's right. If it's not right, it's not right.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's not right. It's probably 400 times the budget, but I don't do the maths, okay? I don't do the maths. I just do the entertainment.
You're not that type of Asian.
I'm not that type of Asian. You know, it's funny, because kids will copy off my paper and they'd still get higher grades than me.
Can't get no respect.
Can't get no respect. Anyways, Robert, you were about to say.
Yeah, this is a very interesting movie.
All the hallmarks of what we come to now understand as like a Chris Nolan film.
This movie, because one of my all-time favorite movies is Memento. It's my second favorite movie of all time, and seeing this, because I've never seen this film. I've seen all of his other ones of Christopher Nolan's films, but I've never seen this one. And so this to me was kind of a treat. And I see so many elements from Memento, which was his second film, in this one. And kind of the manipulation of time, and kind of the you don't really know who's on the side of who, and like what they're trying to do, and it always keeps you guessing, and because you're essentially in the role of the main character. He's essentially nameless in the film because there's no real name for him.
Right. It's kind of like in that way, it's kind of like the narrator in Fight Club.
Right. Yeah.
Which is Edward Norton character, because he never really has a name. It's like the kind of the prescribed name for him is Jack, because always he's reading like those musings or something as like in the perspective of a man named Jack, but like his various body parts, like Jack's appendix or Jack's small intestine or Jack's this or that.
Right.
So yeah, the main character of this movie doesn't have a name.
It's like young
except
man.
Except for like the assumed identity.
Right.
Of the Yeah, even in the IMDb, he's just called the young man.
Yeah, so I mean, you're essentially in his role, and you don't really know who to trust. He gets attached with this guy that he was following,
Mm-hmm.
and because he is the narrator. He's telling about like his story, and
Mm-hmm.
we don't at the beginning we don't know who he's telling it to. But he this guy that he was following, he has an obsession with following people, and he ends up getting noticed, and this is where the whole story starts. And it turns out that this guy that he was following kind of likes to do the same thing, and kind of to mess with people's lives, and he starts to emulate that lifestyle, and like I say, it goes down this really weird dark trail, of just like keeping it, like the whole movie just keeps you on your toes. You don't really know what's going on until like towards the end, when it
Right,
all kind of
because
like everything is revealed.
right, like I said at the beginning, this is definitely a Chris Nolan film, and the message, because one of the maybe even one of the characters you might say is time
Yeah,
in a lot of Chris Nolan films, because he does a lot of time manipulation, like something that happens. There's kind of like this like like this weird shifting of time where it's like something that happens in the past, or at least we think it is the past, but it's actually in the future, and then what's in the future that happens is actually in the past.
right.
And so you never really have like you never really have like an orientation. So
Right, right.
you're kind of happy. So you're kind of always in this weird disoriented state watching this movie. I mean, I know I was, because it's like
Yeah,
this
it
is
took
happening. It's
me
like, oh, well, why is that happening? And then like it jumps again. It's like, because like the two timelines, or the two times, are denoted by the change in appearance of the main character. Because in the
right.
beginning he has like kind of the scruffy beard and long hair, but then uh, as he assumes this new life and identity, he cleans himself up, he gets a haircut, shaves the beard, and those are like the only demarcation points of time.
Right. The I was trying to like pinpoint like a particular like scene in the film that I thought was interesting, but just the whole film is just very like I will say I like the idea of it being in black and white. It
Mm-hmm.
kind of adds, it was for to save money, but it was
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a really, it made the film what it was. Like I
Right.
don't think you,
It was a successful artistic choice, even though it was made merely for practical reasons.
right.
But I think it lends to the idea of how like the main character, this young man, just wants to be a writer. His craft deals with in the black and white page. So the story is told within the medium of black and white film. The kind of the
Yeah.
slippery nature of what they were doing, because it's not like they would go and burgle these apartments, but it's not as though they would take anything like big and expensive, like stereos or cappuccino machines. They would just kind of mess up the apartment a little bit and take small small trinkets almost.
Yeah, like almost like a little more of novelties that like the people in the house would like really kind of care about, because there's more of like a sentimental value to them.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And
What is it? It was just like, yeah, weird, because like they were like stealing CDs and there's like they were able to like fence them. I don't know. It was back in the what was this movie?
98.
98. Yeah, so like kind of the late 90s. So CDs were like still relatively expensive. They're like 12, 13 bucks.
God, yeah, that's right.
So yeah, so if someone came and like stole your collection, that was like a good like. That's like a good like $100 or something.
The yeah, but I definitely see, even in this film, like kind of the genius of Christopher Nolan starting to work. It was not perfected yet,
Mm-hmm.
but it was definitely on its way.
Mm-hmm.
Was there anything that stood out to you, Andy, that you liked about the movie?
I mean, not specifically. Um, Even though I did enjoy the movie, but tell me if I don't know. Tell me if I'm wrong, but there's this urban legend about that opening scene where it basically visually tells you like what his next like 5 movies are going to be about.
I might have to go back and see that because I haven't I never really thought about that.
Right. I mean, I don't know if I'm misremembering, but I could have sworn there was like some significance to that opening scene where it's like going through, kind of the trinket box, and it's somehow signaling or visually communicating, what his next, what kind of like the roadmap to Christopher Nolan and like what movies
Yeah.
he planning on putting out.
I'll have to watch that scene again and figure that out. Maybe we'll talk about that next week because I had heard something like that as well. I didn't know if it was this film or not, but I might have to go and do some research on that.
Yeah, me too.
But yeah, no, I really like this film. It definitely better than Blood Simple.
Yeah.
But yeah, you definitely see a lot of elements of Memento in here, his next film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, just incidentally, I mean, the name of the mysterious thief is Cobb, which is Leonardo DiCaprio's character's name in Inception.
Yeah. Yep. Very, very, very interesting.
Right. Yeah. So that's what makes me think about like if that urban legend or that myth is kind of like that folklore is true about that opening scene.
Yeah,
Where it's like,
and both his Cobb characters are thieves.
that's right. So it's just like So it's just like Cobb kind of starting out, and then he comes upon the dream sharing technology, and that's because he is a master manipulator because he gets the character of the young man to basically adopt his style and his quote unquote craft of burglary.
Right.
Um, yeah, and this cop in following, he's able to like psychoanalyze someone just on like their belongings.
Yeah, very interesting character. I really did like that character, Cobb, even though yeah, he's not the good guy. Once another theme, like I actually really like the bad guy in the film.
Right.
And yeah, just found him to be the actor who played him was very compelling. Yeah, he was like kind of like this, able to figure out the reality of a situation through like just through observation, and very slippery, very kind of very interesting character.
Absolutely. Anything else?
Well, that's pretty much it for me. Should we give our review then?
Wait,
Unless you have something.
When did Usual Suspects come out? Was that early 90s?
I want to say it's somewhere between like 94 and 97.
Okay.
I'm gonna go 95.
Yeah, 95. 95.
Yes.
Little victories. No, I only asked that because kind of the ending was very reminiscent of the ending of The Usual Suspects, where it's kind of like this unraveling and just like where when he realizes what Cobb had done to ultimately frame him for the murder of the woman.
It's too late.
Yeah, it's too late. It's like he's like perfectly played it, and it just kind of just shows that he just disappears.
Yeah, Cobb just disappears off into the crowd, never to be seen again.
Mm-hmm.
As mysteriously as he appeared.
Exactly.
Well, all right. Well, let's give our review and we'll call it a night.
All right. Thinking about it. In a rare Razor's Edge, I'm gonna give this a 3.25, 3.25.
Ooh, I was gonna go 3.5. Like I said, I like the art style. I like kind of the very ethereal way that this movie is presented to us, because nothing, even though that you're watching it, like you're not sure what's real and what's not. And yeah, I like I said, I love that time manipulation in Christopher Nolan's films, and this is definitely that first nugget that we get from him.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I really enjoyed that. And yeah, it's just a great film. I'm glad I finally got to see this and got to talk about it. Now I got some more research to do, because with every like Nolan film, like it's the first viewing is never enough.
I know, of course, right? It's all of Chris Nolan's work is kind of like the Zuperter film. You have to watch it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
For all for all the little nuggets and little clues that he dots throughout his movies. All right, yeah.
All right.
There you have it. That's our review for Following, the directorial debut of Christopher Nolan. Robert gives it a 3.5. I give it a 3.25. If you consider yourself a Nolan superfan, definitely watch this movie. If you're a casual movie viewer, I think you would enjoy it. I wouldn't say that this is a must watch movie, but
if anything, it's short. It's only 69 minutes.
Right. Yeah. It's just a hair over an hour. So it's it's not like an Avengers Endgame. So it's completely doable, and you will be entertained. Just be sure you're not trying to watch this late at night and after a long day at work or something. really take the
Yeah.
time, carve out some time and watch this and, pay attention.
Agreed.
All right, well, that'll do it for us tonight. That was the show. I hope you enjoyed it. I had a good time.
I did. Me too.
And that's all that's all we can do. Don't forget to join us every Tuesday, 8 o'clock, ish, sometimes live. Usually live. We've decided that we're only going to do live streams for this show because doing a pre-tape just kind of like even though we do pre-tape, it's still pretty fun. But we really want that live one take type of atmosphere for these live streams. So yeah, join us every Tuesday at 8-ish p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Don't forget to check out the library of other shows that we have. The Circle of Jerks main podcast. I'm working on the next episode. It will likely drop on Monday. I've been wanting to drop this for a long time, but so many like technical things were happening to it, and I was trying to get it to line up with like video, but I think I might have to go a different route. So
it happens sometimes.
It happens at the best. Even monkeys fall out of trees.
Yep.
There's some wisdom for you. Don't forget to check out if you're into old school games like the old Nintendos, 18 or 16-bit video games. Don't forget to check out Robert's game show Up by Up Down. Don't forget to follow us on our various social media accounts: Twitter @PodcastCOJ, Instagram @Circle of Jerks Podcast, and Letterboxd @PodcastCOJ.
That's correct.
And with all that said, we thank you for joining us. Let's do it again next week.
Sounds like a plan to me, Andy.
Tuto.